All right, let's go live now to Parliament and outside both houses is our correspondent and my colleague Felicity Bow. Felicity, over to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Martine. Yes, as Lawrence was saying, a very unambitious speech by the Queen there, setting out the government's agenda for the next 2 years. It was a speech dominated, of course, by Brexit. We heard talk of bills about immigration, about ending the free movement of EU citizens, about how the government is going to trade with other countries outside the European Union. But there was very little fine, exact, precise details of what those bills were involved. Well, with me now here in London is Caroline Macfarland, Director of Common Vision. That is a think tank concerning young people and politics. Thanks for being with us here on this sweltering day in London. Very few details about how exactly Brexit is going to work. What did you think of the agenda?
Yes, well, as you said, Felicity, we had the Great Repeal Bill, which of course everyone anticipated, but there was also the 7 other national bills about things like customs, trade, immigration, agriculture and fisheries. None of this is a surprise, and in fact I think the main purpose of the Queen's speech was to ensure no more political surprises. Politicians have had enough of that in the last few months, but it does give us a bit more clarity about what Brexit will mean in terms of legislative measures, and perhaps what Parliament can do in order to prepare, as well as other organisations outside of Parliament and government as well. So in that sense, I think it gives us a bit more clarity about where we're going with Brexit. On the other hand, we could have had a lot more detail, as you said, about perhaps the non-legislative measures as well. So who is going to be scrutinising this, and how can people really start to rebuild the confidence of the public in the Brexit process itself? For me, not having enough detail on that side of things was a bit of a disappointment.
Part of the problem is, isn't it, Caroline, is that the Cabinet, as far as we understand, is divided about what sort of Brexit the UK should have, whether it's a soft Brexit or a hard Brexit. They are still arguing about this, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, we've heard a lot of different types of Brexit, different flavours of Brexit since the referendum last year. And the main thing really is that Brexit was a binary vote about leaving or staying. Now, the politicians in both the main parties have committed to leaving the EU, but the most important thing is that that really can happen in a variety of different ways. I'm quite pleased with the public discussion on this since the election. We now do know that there are various different models of leaving the EU, and that what's seen as a hard Brexit is not the only option. I think the next steps is to really have a really open consultation with the public and with all sorts of stakeholders, not just the economic commentators, but civil society, young people, the people who really need to buy into the Brexit process in order to make it a long-term success. Otherwise, we might end with doing a deal that might not last the test of time, and in a few years' time there'll just be a massive public backlash and we'll just U-turn and go the other way.
Caroline, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us here in London. Just another couple of points from that Queen's speech. One very interesting thing was that they did not announce a date for the state visit of US President Donald Trump. Clearly, there is no date that has yet been set. It will be a controversial visit, of course. And the Queen was not accompanied by her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. He is in hospital with an infection. Buckingham Palace say it is a precautionary measure. Back to you, Martine.
Felicity, thanks for that.